Let's talk about infrastructure, because the president spent a fair amount of time on the subject, laid out at least an outline. What was the reaction in the hall?
Well, the reaction was generally very positive on one side of the hall, Republicans. The Democrats were, they were applauding. I think there was a wait and see on that side of the hall of how we're going to make this happen.
So what about the outlines of the plan? Because we don't have the details. We aren't going to have them, we're told, for a couple of weeks, I guess. But he said, the president, $1.5 trillion, but he wants a lot of it to come from private and local and state governments. Is that a realistic plan?
I really do think it is, if both sides want to get together and make this happen. I love the fact that he focused on bipartisan culture that we want to have going forward. And I think that goes beyond just the two sides of the aisle working together. What we see is a need for the federal, state, and local governments to be more integrated, be more efficient, be more collaborative, increase the use of technology, innovation. When we think about our infrastructure, we have to go back to the 1930s, the Depression era, big public works program for the last major infrastructure drive in this country. And since then, not much has changed. The way we execute projects and the way we work together is very similar to the way it's been done over the last 50, 60 years. And unlike other industries, we haven't used technology, digitization, the Internet of Things to really drive transformative technology in this industry.
So as you point out, the president agrees. This has to be a bipartisan effort. This can't be done with just the Republicans. There's something of a divide, apparently, between the Democrats and Republicans. The Democrats wanting a much larger investment from the federal government, and the president wanting much more leverage. This $200 billion turning into $1.5 trillion, more or less. Where can that be bridged, and who is right on the debate?
I think the good news is that both sides want it to happen. I think both sides recognize that we need at least $1 trillion or $1.5 trillion to make this happen. There's some analysis that says we need $4 or $5 trillion to get the United States on par of where we should be as a nation around infrastructure. So, whether it's a $200 billion seed money from the federal government or not, I think the whole point is to make projects more investable. If they're investable, if they drive a return on investment, there's plenty of private funds to stimulate and add on top of whatever the federal funding could be.